Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Well, today we reach the final of our Traitor Legion Successor Chapter Rankings. Which Traitor gene line does the Imperium need the most? No need for a spoiler warning today, so let's waste no time and just jump straight in. As a recap for anyone new, in this series I have been ranking the Traitor gene lines most needed by the Imperium for Successor Chapters. With seeming confirmation of Alpha Primus containing Traitor Gene Seed, and with the Imperium amid a moment of change, it's all really had me re-evaluating the Traitor lines. The three main factors at play for me are 1. The defense and stability of Imperium Sanctus, 2. The fight back against Hive Fleet Leviathan, and 3. Guilliman's imminent invasion and crusade within Imperium Nihilus. As always, it's just my opinion, so make sure to drop your own thoughts in the comments below. If you've missed any of the series thus far, I do recommend going back and giving them a listen first, so you see and know why I ranked the particular lines where I did. So far I've had the World Eaters in 9th, the Alpha Legion in 8th, the Death Guard in 7th, the Night Lords in 6th, the Lunar Wolves or Sons of Horus in 5th, the Emperor's Children in 4th, and yesterday the Iron Warriors in 3rd. And I have to say the 4th and 3rd Emperor's Children and Iron Warriors were a close run thing for the top 2 spots. They each have their own particular advantages that land them in very good stead. However, that leaves us with our final 2, the Thousand Sons and the Word Bearers. The 2 bloodlines battling it out to be the most needed by the Imperium. Well, let's not beat around the bush any longer. In 2nd place, I have the Word Bearers. The Sons of Lorgar. If we're going to look at their record within the Great Crusade, well, it's going to be a bit of a surprise why they're so high here. They spent so much time raising monuments and spreading the worship of the Emperor. Their conquests were far slower than the rest of their Legion cousins. And we know where that all led in the end. The Emperor's chastisement and the fall to heresy. However, for me, this was very much due to the influence of Lorgar, Corferon and Erebus. And we have to be honest, the mismanagement of the Emperor. So it's the Legion as it was intended, the Legion the Word Bearers were originally, that we need to look. Dubbed the Imperial Heralds, the original Legion was founded from the children of defeated enemies. Those that knew the forgiveness the Emperor possessed, as well as the crimes of those who opposed him. As such, immediately, the Imperial Heralds were a different breed of Legion, of legionary, ones that fought for far more than just the Great Crusade, who truly fought for the Emperor, and felt blessed to do so. It was they, in their role of heralds, who delivered the Emperor's ultimatum: submit or be destroyed. And perhaps most keenly for what they would go on to be, it was their duty to purge any and all knowledge of heretical and sorcerous scripture in the name of the Imperial truth. Essentially, the Imperial Heralds destroyed any and all worship they encountered across the galaxy. It was they who replaced it with the Imperial truth. Even here, though it was to counter religion, they were to spread the word. And this is the most important thing for me. No, the Imperial Heralds didn't immediately worship the Emperor as a god. But you could definitely argue they viewed him in an almost worshipful way. The whole fledgling Imperium did, let alone the legions. But for the Imperial Heralds, with that ingrained notion of redemption, of forgiveness. It was something altogether more spiritual. In going for such dedication and devotion to his own cause, the Emperor really set them up perfectly for that future fall. As with the reunion with their Primarch, it didn't take much at all for that dedication to become true worship. And so, no, successor chapters of the Wordbearers would not come into the Imperium immediately worshipping the Emperor as a god. However, let's be real here. This isn't the Emperor's golden dream of the Imperium they'd be coming into. It's an Imperium where worship of the God Emperor absolutely consumes everything. It's an Imperium that revolves around and runs entirely on faith. Faith in him. And we're even in a galaxy now where he is actually acting within the galaxy, where blessings and eruptions of saints are coming more and more frequently, where he now more than ever can be called a god. As such, there isn't a single trace of doubt in my mind that each and every Wordbearer Successor chapter would quickly begin worshipping the Emperor as a god, because it's that worship in him that erased the Imperial truth. He is now the cause to which they'd be dedicated. And as we know and have spoken of often, faith is now more important than ever. Just imagine Imperium Sanctus receiving a founding of God Emperor worshipping chapters. Not ones that simply prosecute the heretic and slay the Xeno, like the Black Templars, but ones who actively spread the word of his worship, who raise up the populace, who turn their worlds into bright beacons of faith. The Wordbearer Successors would do a better job of spreading worship and reinvigorating faith than the Ecclesiarchy ever could. They were born to be preachers, to inspire the people, to spread the word. They have that genetic legacy of Lorgar. Their missionaries would embolden not just their own worlds, but nearby systems as well. Entire regions and subsectors would shine against the dark, like the Orders of the Sisterhood, if not more so. There could be no greater defense against the temptations of the ruinous powers. Upon the battlefields the sons of Lorgar would walk, the golden light of the God Emperor would rise. Displays of power and outbreaks of saints would be commonplace. While martially their chapters would be akin to any other, that element of faith, the zeal and conviction in which they would wield it, would make them absolutely formidable, even if just simply for their effect on those around them. What a symbol loyal Wordbearer Successors would be. Against Leviathan, okay, perhaps not the benefit it would be against Chaos, but faith in the Emperor is needed everywhere. Why do you think the Tau are so interested in the Imperium Saints? Because they have seen how effective that power is. Wherever humanity is threatened, wherever hope, faith could be fired, the Sons of Lorgar's effect would be palpable. The Orders of the Sisterhood are perhaps more valuable now than they ever have been before, but their faith, harnessed by Astartes, who want to embolden it and spread its light, in Marines who could weather enemy fire and stride into battle like gods of war, it would have the Imperium wishing all its chapters worshipped the God Emperor. And this effect and impact would only become more valuable across the Great Rift, where the Sons of Lorgar's real anti-chaos benefits would shine. No pun intended. The Crusade fleets would become beacons of light purging through the dark. Rather than fear the lack of the Astronomicon, the chapters would be fanatical in bringing it back to the Dark Imperium, purging the taint of the ruinous powers and restoring the light of his faith. At every world liberated, hope would be rekindled. At every world conquered, the heresy would be purged, its sources eradicated, replaced by the Imperial Creed once more, as the Imperial Heralds used to do 10,000 years ago for the Imperial truth. Yes, maybe, as in the days of the Great Crusade, it would make the Indomitus fleets move slower, which maybe Guilliman wouldn't like. However, in their wake, he would have real bastions of the Imperium once more, regions that could truly be called the Imperium once again, regions the ruinous powers would recoil from. Because it's a legitimate question to ask, how safe will the world saved and reconquered be, still left amid the dark? How long until the forces of the ruinous powers return? No, the Sons of Lorgar skill-wise would not be the best choice in terms of successor chapters. However, in this galaxy, in this age of gods, their impact could be amazing. For me, the Sons of Lorgar, the descendants of the Wordbearers, absolutely are one of the most needed traitor gene lines by the Imperium. However, our number one, or I guess my number one, is the Thousand Sons, the Sons of Magnus. In this psychic awakened galaxy, the powers and presence of Psychers is never more valuable or more needed within the Astartes. We have seen the impact the Grey Knights have had, the psychic warriors the Emperor and Malcador created for the next war. And well, that next war is this one. The Emperor knew the time of Psychers had come, how important and valuable those powers would be. And who are we to question him? Their gene seed was admittedly unstable in the days of the Great Crusade. However, with Belisarius claiming he's fixed all the instabilities, other than those that were intended, that should be an issue that no longer plagues the Sons of Magnus. And so their presence across the Imperium would almost be akin to a founding of Grey Knights across the galaxy. No, not quite to that extent, but close. The line of Magnus is by far and away the most powerful Psyker line of the Astartes. Within Sanctus, their librarians would be predicting threats before they had even time to strike, meaning the chapters, for the first time ever, would actually be on the front foot, preventing threats rather than avenging them. Their forces would be particularly strong, thanks to that high rate of librarians, enabling them to defeat foes far easier, to counter threats more numerous, meaning smaller forces would be more effective, and casualties far lower too. It would enable them easier travel through the warp, with strong librarians able to replace a navigator for a short time if they have to. And even against the Tyranids and Leviathan, this would also be an advantage, as we've seen Leviathan itself is adapting to a more psychic nature, realizing the benefits the power brings in this galaxy. Within Guilliman's Crusades of Nihilus, the line of Magnus would be a big advantage. Used within larger forces, their librarians could be the psychic support for a task force, able to predict and counter the powers of chaos otherwise unknown, otherwise uncountered, again saving those precious casualty numbers. They would be able to be advisors to the fleet, and able to assist in the trials of warp travel across the rift, which, as we know, are far more precarious. We have seen the effect a single librarian can have in any encounter, of the precious few of them that there are across the galaxy. Having a line of chapters founded that's ridiculously high in rate of them, and even then stronger, well, it would quite simply give the Imperium the biggest upgrade of all. And at the end of the day, it's really that simple. We haven't even discussed the nature of Magnus's successors, their enjoyment and desire for knowledge, how the worlds they called home would be some of the most knowledgeable and prosperous systems. It's people raised up by their education, by their chapter. Exactly what Guilliman desires for the Imperium, exactly what he's asked Dante to do. So yes, it is a tough one. For me, honestly, any of the top 4 are worth debating for this very top spot, each of them having real advantages in their own regard. However, with Successors of Magnus, you get the best practical anti-chaos weapon possible, in a time when truly, chaos and the ruinous powers are stronger than ever. When we've seen the Blood God himself funnel his power into the galaxy. So you just can't overlook how precious that advantage and weapon would be. You get a range of chapters where a single librarian could turn a defeat into victory. You get a nature and culture that would educate and raise up its people, bringing a measure of enlightenment against the oppression. A founding of worlds across the Imperium that people could look to as the example. You get scholars and teachers, but most importantly, the Imperium would get the most in return out of its investment, as a single Magnus descendant psyker would be worth dozens, if not hundreds, of a single marine of another lineage. When you've got chapters of those across the Imperium, you're going to start to like those odds. But as always everyone, what do you think? How do you feel about the Word Bearers and Thousand Sons in the top 2? Do you agree with me that the Sons of Magnus would represent the most the Imperium would get out of the investment of resources? Would their successor chapters bring more to the Imperium's defense? Do you see the advantage in the Sons of Lorgar? How their presence could inspire and fire the faith in the Imperium even further? And do they in fact deserve the #1 spot? Which of the rankings do you agree with or disagree with, now having seen my full rankings? Where would you make changes, and what gene lines would you move up or down? As always everyone, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.